Today we're going to be talking about dating myths and men. Things that people claim men are, people say we do time and time again, and all these other horrible generalizations that people love to give us men, because that's the cool thing to do these days. The cool thing to do these days is to spout off some misandric fact and then turn around and say all men are like this, when in reality, in this modern dating age and the dating universe that we're living in, there are an abundance of good men, dream men, the kind of men that you want, but you have to debunk these myths. Because if you do not debunk these myths, it's going to stop you from meeting a lot of great men. And they are out there. I know some of them. And most of them are in relationships, but they are out there. No matter how solid or how much of a deep connection you think you have with that guy, there will always be a 50-50 chance that the man in question will ghost if you have sex on the first date. That's why I always say to women, look, you have control of your body. You are perfectly okay to do whatever you want with it. You can have sex with someone on the first date. But beware, if you do have sex with someone on the first date, there is a 50-50 chance that they will ghost. Okay, but not all men will ghost after you have sex on the first date. Myth number 2, men can't talk about their feelings. Men are not in touch with their emotional side. Real men, sincere, genuine, good quality men are always able to talk about their feelings. But society, men and women, have almost messed this up. I catch flights, not feelings, right? I don't catch feelings for a man. People want to be seen as cool these days, as if they don't even buy into the notion that they could ever be vulnerable and totally fall madly and deeply in love with each other. That myth has never been far from true, because both men and women are bragging about how they don't catch feelings anymore. In fact, I actually think that's the general consensus. If you go on any obligatory Instagram page, there's going to be a joke about how amazingly invincible they are and they have a heart of stone, and you could never convince them that you're an amazing person and that you want to be with them, because everyone has a heart of stone and no one wants to catch feelings anymore. In reality, the kind of man that you're supposed to be with is very much in touch with his emotional side. In fact, true connection, true vulnerability, and true trust and attractiveness with a person will always come down to you being vulnerable and open with your emotions. That's really when you both start to build attraction with each other. When you are vulnerable, when you were open and honest about how you feel, that is true strength. And someone that you're supposed to be with, a high quality man, when you ask him a question, he's going to be very honest and sincere with exactly how he feels. Because again, that is true strength. Myth number 3, guys are... Look what this guy's doing right now. Oh, you dropped the ball, huh? You dropped the ball, you think you're slick. Yeah. That's what I had to do to stop him from chewing that ball, if you couldn't hear it in the background. Don't look at me like that. Oh, fine, come here. Okay. Back to it. He's gotten into the habit now. You guys have enabled him, and now he's gotten into the habit of trying to pander towards me. Ugh. Okay, myth number 3. Guys are not romantic. This myth makes me laugh. A lot of people say guys aren't romantic anymore. Guys don't take me on dates. Guys don't open doors. Guys don't hold my hand anymore. Guys don't hold your hand anymore. Guys don't open doors for you, because you might be choosing the guys that aren't naturally inclined to do so. Remember what we spoke about when we spoke about how essentially 70% of women want the top 30% of men, and men know that they're the top 30%. So they're probably opening the doors for someone. Maybe it's just not you. I'm sorry. I did some research on this as well. Let me read it to you. A long-term study carried out by Dr. Terry Orbach found that men are typically more romantic than women. She reported that men find frequent shows of physical affection and small endearments very reassuring, especially when they're giving them too. You see, in reality, most men generally are romantic. It is a huge bone within our body. And if you feel like your man isn't necessarily romantic towards you, you might have the wrong man, because I guarantee you if he had the right person, he'd be romantic with them. In addition to that, if they were romantic at first and then they stopped being romantic, this is a conversation that needs to come from you. No man just knows what you want, no matter how long you've been with him. Have that conversation with him. So many women's magazines and women's blogs and Instagram pages will convince you that you have to date multiple men at the same time, not to fall for one person. You have to date around as much as you can. Women don't need men to be happy, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now, yes, women don't need men to be happy. Men don't need women to be happy, and all the rest. We know this. However, no person in this world is meant to live through life alone. I'm sorry, that's just a fact. Okay, we don't need women and women don't need men. But when we are together, we are just a little bit more happier because people aren't meant to be alone. But we men, we're not stupid. We see these blogs, we see these Facebook posts, we see these Instagram posts. Women statistically will always have more options than men. That's just how it is. But because of this fact, a lot of men are dying to be romantic with women. They want to be romantic with women so much, but it's a steady process. Because we as men, we know that when we are trying to pursue one of the most attractive women, that she's always going to have options. She's always going to have different people who are trying to hit her up. And until we know that that woman has chosen us, then the things that we do, those romantic gestures, are essentially going to be on an incline, which means they're eventually going to come. But you just have to be patient with the man that you're dating, because ultimately not every single man is comfortable just throwing it all out there. And I don't mean being vulnerable, but I mean giving you as many romantic gestures as he possibly can, because he needs to know that he's been chosen by you. Myth number 4. Confident, intelligent, and successful women intimidate men, and that's why a successful, intelligent, confident woman is single. Huge falsity. I know there are an abundance of women out there who are very successful, who are very attractive, you know, they're in shape, and they're just great, funny, intelligent women, blah, 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 blah. However, just like men, there is a clear difference between a successful woman who leads in with that and that's all she really talks about, versus someone who is so confident within herself she doesn't need to talk about that every 5 minutes, right? You have men that lead with their wallets, and sometimes you have women that lead with their success. I'll give an example. I mean, anyone. If I'm with someone that I've just met for the first time at a professional mixer, and he starts telling me that he's got a Porsche and he's got a house in Turks and Caicos, and he tells me about his 3 different businesses and how much money he's making, I don't want to talk to that guy. I'm like, go boast to that other guy. I do not care. Is this really how you get to know people, right? And in that inverse, I've been on dates where a woman has constantly spoken about how successful she is and the house that she bought with her own money and how many cars she has. And the reality is that men are not turned off by confident women. They're not turned off by intelligent women. And most importantly, they love a woman that's successful. The difference is how much of your life does that take over? How much do you lead with your successful career? The same way women do not like arrogant men is the same way that men do not like arrogant women. Imagine that. Imagine that. And they're out there. So if you are successful, if you have amassed so many years of experience and success in your specific field, there are subtle ways you can interject that within the conversation, but you don't have to just throw it in the person's face. No one likes someone who humble brags. No one. Most men are players and liars. Now, maybe this was a reality 20 to 30 years ago, maybe even longer than that, but times have changed. Women and men are on the same level these days, where we're both liars and we're both players. Not all of us, but there are a lot of female players and there are a lot of male players, okay? For a woman to say that most men are players and liars is kind of bullshit, because it's almost saying that women could never possibly be players and women could never possibly lie. Women play the same game as men. The only difference is that, to be quite frank, they're far better at it than men. They do it with far more panache and they operate on a level which is very stealth. Did you know that I read an article about Hinge, and it was saying that women get 83% more responses online dating compared to men, who get a paltry 34%. Now, I'm not saying that makes them cheaters or liars, but I am saying that not only do women and men both cheat and lie, but women have a lot more opportunities to do so. Again, I'm not saying that means that they do, but what I'm saying is the scales have never been more even in regards to who cheats and lies. Men only like looks. Now, I'll keep it real with you. Typically, we are very, very visual. Most men want to date the most attractive women in the room. That's just a fact. However, looks fade and stupid is forever. So men don't only like looks, they do very much like personalities. That's why some of the most attractive friends that you know might be single is because they haven't really taken the time to fix their personalities and to embellish their soul a bit more, because they haven't really needed to. They've had options thrown at them as far as the cows come home. The pretty bubble is a real thing. Myth number 9, all men want is sex. Bull. I'm sorry. Any man worth his salt, once he's gone through college, you've had enough sex as you could possibly muster. Not every man wants sex. Do we love sex? Hell yes. We love sex, but that's not all we want, okay? The difference between men and women is that men want sex sooner, okay? I'll say it again. The difference between men and women isn't that men want sex more, it's that men want sex sooner than women. And there's an abundance of variables where that comes from, right? Number 1, men are far more intimidating than women. Statistically, serial killers are men. You know, you're most likely to get murdered by a man as opposed to a woman. Like, I'm sorry. And that's the reason why women aren't just like, yeah, let me come over to your house right now and have sex with you, because they don't know who the hell this guy is. Whereas men, because we're not likely to be murdered by a woman, it could happen, but it's highly unlikely. Of course, we want to have sex sooner because we don't care about safety. Whereas women do care about their own safety, and women just aren't looking to jump into bed with every other man that comes into their fruition. Because women get an abundance of options to sleep with men on a weekly, sometimes daily basis. So men don't only want sex, they just want sex sooner than women. And myth number 10, finishing up, where have all the good men gone? The good men are there, baby. The good men are there. In fact, you might be going for the exact same guy because it's your type, because you keep going for that guy and it doesn't work out. There are an abundance of good men out there, but it's up to you to figure out and really start to analyze and study your own data. And what I mean by that is look back at every single man that you have dated from the beginning of time when you started to date, and start looking at patterns, start noticing internal trends that you have, because there are good men out there. You just need to start looking at the right places. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, if you know someone who generally needs to hear this and watch this, please send this to them. I'm legitimately trying to help people out, specifically women, through the title of this video. I'm gonna make a video for men next time, so stay tuned throughout the end of this week. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your morning.